personnel for the Tennessee Titans. They needed it. Their defense has been struggling. This will improve quickly.
Ravens Colts for Ryan Clark. RC, what do you have your eye on?
I mean, it's the obvious answer. It's Lamar Jackson. How does he rebound after a terrible week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, where it wasn't the passing game that kept them from winning it? It's Lamar Jackson's turnovers and mistakes that lost the game. And so you're going up against a good Colts defense. Can he rebound and become that reigning MVP star that we know? Can they add to this passing attack? Or does his poor play at quarterback, the quarterback position, continue? I think that'll be huge to watch in this big game against the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, let's stop down and talk about that for a minute. There's been a lot of conversation about Lamar Jackson here and everywhere this week. RC, what do you need to see from him, not just this Sunday, but through this second half, that will convince you that this year that team can make a deep run in the playoffs?
That when games are close, they can find ways to win. When you watch this team, sometimes they're just so physically dominant over other football teams, and they get up so early and they can play their style of ball the entire game, and teams never really get into the game. They start to turn the ball over. They start to pop big runs, and so teams kind of fall out of contention with the Baltimore Ravens, and no pressure is truly put on Lamar Jackson in crunch time, in the clutch. In these games down the stretch of the season, when it is a tight game, when it is a close game, that not Lamar Jackson finds ways through the pass game along with Greg Roman, the offense coordinator, make plays, but that they just figure out how to win. They figure out how to be clutch, how to be efficient in important situational football moments in the game. And if they can do that, then you start to say, okay, if he gets into the playoffs, if he gets into a tight game against a Mahomes, against a Ben Roethlisberger, we believe that this offense can make plays. It's time to throw out, let's become a better passer, let's become a better passing offense. It's time to start being, let's be what we can be the best in the most important moments of football games, and we have to see that from Lamar down the stretch.
Meanwhile, Rob, the Ravens also lost their starting left tackle, Ronnie Stanley, one of the best in the sport, last weekend, and you were telling me this morning you've experienced firsthand just how significant of a loss that might be.
Yeah, look, I mean, the easiest way to set the standard for being physical is your offensive line. And when the Ravens last year, you look at what they did last year, they were able to be physical, run the football, protect the quarterback. So you lose Stanley, you lose Yanda to retirement. So I can think back to 2015, we're playing the Denver Broncos in the AFC Championship, and they hit Tom Brady 17 times because we lost our starting tackle, and they got after him. Von Miller went off in that game. So you want to talk about having confidence in the quarterback position? It all comes down to protecting your quarterback. You're a young quarterback in Lamar, so you can't expect him to go out there and do it all on his own. He needs the rest of the guys around him to do that. So they're going to have to protect him, and losing their starting tackle doesn't help.
Yeah, on a team that is so predicated on that physicality. David Pollack, when you watch them, what do you think? Is this a team that can make a deep run this year?
I'm starting to have doubts, and I'm starting to have doubts about Lamar Jackson. First of all, when you embarrass the whole NFL a year ago, which is what they did, because you literally saw grown men on the field with Lamar Jackson in rush hour. There was Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker being like, which one of y'all kicked me? Where's the ball? Like, nobody could even find the football. You've had a year to find this system, and everybody studied it this offseason. By the way, it wasn't just last week. If you look at Lamar throughout this season, completion percentage way down, turnovers down, sacks down, QBR down 20-plus points. Like, Himbo yelled at me the other day because I was negative about the FPI. So I got all those numbers for you in there, Himbo. I got you the QBRs down 20 points, completion percentage down 6 points. He's been sacked 23 times last year, 19 times already this year, Himbo. So I got all your numbers for you, man. But Lamar's going to have to counterpunch now, and they're going to have to figure something out because the NFL's figured him out.
Yeah, and the team that beat them last week are the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Steelers are the last unbeaten. They're 7-0, in fact, for the second time in franchise history. The first was 1978. They finished 14-2 that year and won the Super Bowl. But our Football Power Index says not so fast, my friend. Despite being the lone remaining unbeaten team, FPI, those numbers that Hembo loves and David likes to mock, still not sold on the Steelers. They're currently ranked the 6th best team in the league, 3 spots behind the Ravens, whom they just beat. So before we engage in just making fun of the nerds who put together the numbers, let me explain to you, Ryan Clark, that most of the concerns that the analytics have stem from the quarterback, from the play of Big Ben. As you watch it, what do you think?
I mean, that's where my concern stemmed from last week. And I was thinking about it as you were talking, and I was trying to think, the Steelers aren't the sexy offensive team. It kind of reminds me of their quarterback, both in physique and style of play. It's not the sexiest thing to watch, but they're finding ways to win. And I think we've fallen in love with the pretty in this league, the beautiful, the sidearm throws, the rolling away to our left and throwing a ball across the field and making these plays happen. Ben hasn't been doing that, but he's been finding ways to win. I think what FPI is looking at, what I am looking at, is what game does the bottom fall out? What game does he not play well enough for them to win? And I believe that that's what we've been waiting on. And so for me, Big Ben has to be more consistent. He has to be more explosive. He's getting the ball out of his hands extremely quick, but they aren't creating plays down the field. They're not having a large margin for error because of the way that he is playing football right now. And so I believe if Big Ben steps it up, if Big Ben becomes more explosive, more confident, more efficient, then this team, the sky's the limit for them, because we all know defensively they are great. And to me, they have a Hall of Fame coach in Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, and they're heavy favorites in their next 3 games, beginning this Sunday against Dallas. So they should be 10-0 by the time they get Baltimore again. And he just mentioned Tomlin, Diana, and I saw that in your notes, that's a huge factor in their success and should not be overlooked.
Yeah, my notes read that Mike Tomlin said after they beat the Ravens that they stunk, that they played really bad football, but they were able to win the game. And that's just Mike Tomlin being honest about what they did last night. And, Ryan pointed to a lot of their flaws, some of them being a little bit of Big Ben, some of them a little bit on defense. But Big Ben is getting the ball out faster than any other quarterback in the league right now. He's playing some backyard football, as he puts it, which is what makes Ben so great. It's why this offense has been so creative and why they trust him with the ball at 38 years old. It is so hard to take him down, and it's just so hard to beat Big Ben at this point in his career. And, you talk about Mike Tomlin and what he does, and, we could probably spend a whole show talking about how underrated he is. You spend just 5 minutes around this team,
sure.
And it is very clear who the leader is. They take on the identity of Mike Tomlin. And, Tomlin talked about the adjustments they made at halftime. He said the difference in that game against the Ravens were those 12 minutes in the locker room. So you can say, yeah, Tomlin's all about connecting with the players. He's also a really smart coach as they made those adjustments to win that game on Sunday.
And so, Rob, I'll ask you the same question I did at the very beginning of the show about Green Bay, but this is about the Steelers. You know what a championship team looks like. Is this one?
I think so. Yeah, definitely. Talk about defense. The Steelers have the defense. So I definitely see championship pedigree here. And Big Ben, look, I mean, I've been there with having a surgery, having an ACL fix. When you're back on that football field for the first few weeks, you have to regain the confidence that you can go out there and still do things at a high level. And I think Big Ben is still gaining confidence as he goes through this season. The first few games of the year, you're probably questioning, okay, can I go out here and throw a deep ball without having my elbow just explode? And we're seeing him continue to progress. He's going to make better decisions. The team is a really good team as far as you look at offense, special teams, defense. Look, at the end of the day, you have to be complementary of each other. And I think with their offense and their defense, they can do that. So when you look at the NFL right now, they're undefeated, and the coach. So you put that all together.